dice that night, reaping a grim harvest of horror. He dragged the body down the stairs to the kitchen, put him into the icebox. The maniac killer was doomed by the crimson hatchet. He held in his blood-drenched hand. Blood-drenched hand. They got him in the end. The end.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, boys and girls, ghosts and ghouls, I'm Scary Gary, and joining me today, as always, is Spooky Sammy.
Hi.
Eerie Aaron.
Hey guys.
Juicy Jeff.
Hey guys.
And also joining us today are our guests that attended this investigation with us from Shadows of Reality Paranormal. We have Debbie and Chad.
Hey guys. Yay, cool. Little
And from her not very active YouTube channel and pages, my daughter of a ghost hunter, Riley.
Hi guys.
That was harsh.
But he's not wrong though. That's the thing. He's not wrong.
But he needs to
waiting
make
for
it sound
updates.
like you're super
Mark.
popular so everyone goes and checks it out.
I keep having people follow me, but I don't post anything, so I guess.
They're just getting ready. We are Division 3 AM, and this is the Aftermath Podcast. We are coming to you today to talk about our follow-up sequel investigation to Prospect Place Estate. Was it as eventful as the first time we were there or not? You're going to find out today. And we are also Shadows of Reality Paranormal. This was a joint venture. We teamed up together to get this investigation done, and I think that was a great idea, except the head of the team was nowhere to be found. We'll get into that. But first, we're going to talk about what we're drinking right now, and the beer I'm drinking today is going to be a Blake's Hard Cider Triple Jam. I got a little influenced from when I hung out with you guys last, so I had to go get some.
Oh, it's good.
And crack that baby open.
It's really
What you
good.
drinking, Aaron?
White Claw. Aaron,
Unmute.
You're muted.
Unmute.
unmute. You're mute.
Unmute.
How many White Claw have I had?
Who knows? Who knows?
White Claw is the law. Also, I may have had several.
And that concludes our show. At the moment White Claw was mentioned. Thank guys for coming out.
The last time we got involved with White Claw, the girls got mean.
Yeah,
We did.
that was the Spook Duke review episode. That was pretty vicious.
You should put the link
Sorry, guys.
here, and then they can watch that.
Yeah, go watch our horrible one-off episode Spook Duke review, where the girls get trashed and the guys just get beat up.
Yeah, because I didn't even know we were
And
being
we have a
mean
really
until I
crappy green
watched
screen.
it, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
like, why were we so angry?
you were White Claw wasted.
Apparently,
Now, why was our green
Did
screen
y'all
so
get
bad?
clawed? We got clawed.
we got clawed.
You got clawed.
We got mauled.
What you drinking, Jeff?
I have Dessert Station Smoothie. It's a sour, it's a fruited smoothie sour ale, and it's pretty delicious.
Well, who makes that one?
This one's
Your
made
mom.
by this one's Strawberry Banana Daiquiri, and it's made by Imprint Beer Company out of Hatfield, Pennsylvania.
I think that's pretty close to me.
It's It's pretty delicious.
Sounds damn good to me.
Recommend it highly already, and we're not even to that point yet.
What about you, Sam? What you drinking?
I am drinking Belly Full of Bones.
Ooh.
It's a
Ooh.
berry creamsicle sour.
Ooh, that
by
sounds awesome.
Trekker.
They
and
live
it
around the
has-
corner. You got any more
It
of
like
those?
is super like full. Like look, wait.
How about Joseph
Wait.
says?
Ooh, Drekker has some really good beers.
Wow.
Yeah. I haven't tried it, so
I'll be right back. I'm going to come over and try it real quick.
oh fuck, that is good.
I could taste that. I could taste
10
that.
out
Oh,
of 10.
fuck.
Highly recommend. It's literally
Actually,
made with
it's more like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. It's made with cherry, raspberry, blackberry, strawberry, plum, and vanilla soft serve.
And Debbie and Chad, you guys drinking? What you drinking?
Menage a trois? Hot pink? I didn't think this through before I picked this. Actually, my sister got this from Tennessee, so I don't even know what it is, but it's good. It's some kind of sweet rosé. Tropical fruit, strawberry, and floral. And
Rosé.
that's the last of my bottle.
So they were
Not
drinking
today.
before we started rolling.
Not
We told
today.
them to slow down, but it's all gone now. Gonna be a fun show. Riley. Shh.
Oh, you got skipped.
Oh, wait, no.
What
Yeah,
did you? Oh, wait, is Chad drinking something different?
Yeah,
I thought you guys were drinking the same thing.
Sorry, I'm not in Debbie's menage a trois.
What you got?
Bells, Oberon.
That's a good one.
Oh,
Summer ale?
Oberon, hell yeah.
Yep.
Always a choice.
Oberon with the Star Wars shirt. Digging it. Digging it. Riley, again, let's hush us about things, but what are you drinking?
The same exact thing as you.
That's because that's what was in my fridge.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you go with.
So we'll be drinking throughout the show, and you're free to join us if you'd like. I got a few on deck here just waiting for me to get through them all, so hopefully by the end of this show, I'll be more interesting. So let's dive in to the investigation. So first off, starting out, we get out there and we pretty much did the sequel almost exactly the same as we did the original. And we went out to the Woolly Pig
Yes.
to get some drinks, to get some food. And that's what we did the first time. So we went back a second time. And actually, I think it was better the second time around. I actually enjoyed it more then. Might have been because I drank more the second time.
That'll help.
And we didn't have to wait forever for a, what was it the first time? A stone pizza.
Yeah, that was bad.
Took them forever to make it, and it was crunchy. But this time around, we had a pretty decent booth with some options, so it wasn't as bad on the food. But this is where we met and hung out with Jeremiah and awaited his decision on if he was going to come to the investigation, because at the last minute we found out Jeremiah wasn't coming, which really sucked, put a damper on everything, but we pushed forward. We enjoyed our time hanging out with him while we could, and then we headed off to the investigation. But there was that one lady that was awesome that took our photos and literally just ripped into Jeremiah, like not even in a mean way. She said it in a way where it's like you didn't know if you should have your feelings hurt. It was like nice and mean at the same time.
He was not.
She's like, "Oh, you're the guy from that show." That's a horrible show, by the way. I'm just saying, I'm not being mean, just saying.
But
Just
she
a
said we were
horrible
all
show. Smile.
beautiful people, so like
Mhm.
it was like an insult, but also a hug. It's weird. Like,
Like you guys
Okay.
are great, but what you do sucks so much.
She was also
So much.
very wasted.
She was trash.
Wait,
Very drunk.
was she the high five lady? Or is that a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
one?
No,
That was a
I-
different
No, wait.
lady.
Oh, that was a different lady.
She was obliterated. She was, yeah.
Oh, and
That
she
lady's
even
gone.
cheered Chad's glasses when he was in the bathroom.
Yeah, she high-fived an invisible Chad.
He's like, I did what?
Wow.
That's why you.
So this
felt
lady,
on the
yeah, she comes out and she's going around just
investigation.
high-fiving everybody. And then she sees that somebody was sitting in this spot and is like, where's he at? And we're like, oh, he went to the bathroom. So she high-fives Invisible Chad to make sure she got everybody. And then we had the guy who sat next to us with an empty beer for the longest time because he wanted to get a picture with Jeremiah, but he was too afraid to cut into the conversation. And I don't remember exactly what was being talked about, but it was definitely a conversation you wouldn't want somebody eavesdropping on because they're going to think you're fucking crazy. Because we were talking about some messed up shit, and he literally said something along the lines of, well, this is the most interesting conversation I've ever eavesdropped on, but I've been waiting for an opportunity to get a picture with this guy. I've been sitting here with an empty beer for 10 minutes. So we had some interesting characters out there at the Woolly Pig, and it just made it all the better.
Definitely.
Your cat
Oh, we forgot.
needs attention.
Hey, Kitty, what are you drinking?
I want you to know it's cat.
She's been drinking some cat.
It is. It is catnip.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of buying her a new toy today, and that's what's happening.
She sounds like she's in heat and she's trying to beat. No.
Man,
We leave the Woolly Pig. We arrive once again on the hallowed grounds of Prospect Place Estate. Now, I will say, leading up to this point, personally, I was like kind of on edge, worried that part one was going to happen all over again. But once we got there, that kind of went out the window. Like, I forgot about it for a little bit, and we just got into our mode and started going. Our guide took everyone on a tour, except for myself and Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
We already had the tour the first time, so we decided to just start setting up equipment and getting everything going. So by the time the tour was done, everybody'd be ready to go, except that tour was way longer than the first time around. Like, they must have found new shit or something to talk about, because that was a long ass tour they went on.
Yeah,
Was it
she definitely gave us some more info on some of the rooms and history that we didn't get before. So, I mean, that part was nice if you wanted to know it.
And that's because this place has changed owners.
Mm-hmm.
So the owners that were there the first time we went are not the people that were there the second time we went. So we got to meet all new people. Although the building itself was set up pretty much exactly the same. A lot of stuff that I noticed when editing the trailer, like the doll in the basement and everything, a lot of the stuff was in the exact same spot it was the last time we were there. So nothing really changed. So it was just like coming back to a familiar place. So while me and Jeff are setting up and they're wrapping up their tour, I end up in the attic to put a camera up, not thinking where I was until I started unraveling the cords. And then I heard this, what sounded like a laugh behind me, kind of like a mocking type laugh. And that's when it dawned on me where I was. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the attic and I'm by myself and I've been dragged across this floor. So I immediately dart out of the attic and get on the walkie-talkie and call for somebody. Like a scared child. And I'm like, somebody needs to come up here right now. I'm in the attic. I'm not doing this by myself.
He's
so Sam
laughing.
comes up to rescue me.
Laughing at you
And
like,
help
oh,
me.
he came back? This crazy
He's like, how's
motherfucker.
your leg, boy? Welcome back. Nerve-wracking. Totally slipped my mind that I was even in that room. And then it just became onset panic attack the moment I realized it. So we weren't the only ones there. We had some other guests with us as well that could not join us for this episode, but we also held a contest to have somebody come along with their tickets paid for. And that was Michaela and Teresa. Ironically, those two people work with Sam. You've seen Michaela before. She was with us on the Collingwood episode. And it blew my mind that she even won. Like if you were there for the drawing, like I did this long drawn out thing, did all these papers, typed in everything, make sure it was all fair. And then I hit the button and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like she's already been with us before and she won. And she took someone else who entered the contest along as her guest because you're allowed to take one guest. So she took Teresa, which I thought was pretty cool that she would pick somebody else who entered. And I can't speak for them, but I was actually surprised at one point that Michaela was kind of scared. She's the type that's like, nothing scares me. I want to do everything. I want to try everything. Nothing's going to get to me until you try to isolate her in a room in Prospect Place Estate. And she did not want to be alone.
She did.
We'll get to that later.
She did good.
She did do damn good.
She sat by the door.
She was ready. She sat by the door and she sat on the edge of the chair. She was ready to go. If anything happened, she wasn't going to be there.
I'm in flight mode, so if something happened, I'm gone.
There would have been a Michaela-shaped cloud where she once was.
And knowing her clumsy ass, she'd have fell down the stairs in the process.
And broke her spleen or something.
No, that already. She already got that. No, it was her appendix that ruptured. So
yeah,
she still has a spleen, but
yeah, she has some internal organ problems, and any slight fall, and she'll probably lose a heart or something. So we'll get to that when we get to that point. Teresa was along. I don't think Teresa did any isolation stuff. She also didn't seem very scared of anything, although she did have this, I've noticed this edginess of keeping her hands at chest level in case she needed to reach out and grab anybody or anything. Like she made herself look calm the entire time, but I noticed the hands, and if anything was going to jump out and scare her, somebody was going to be a shield. I promise you that.
She was going to punch someone.
She was going to definitely square up on a ghost. But she held her cool. She kept it cool the whole night. So she made it through. I didn't witness any terrified moments. Quite a few where she wasn't quite sure if she should be scared at this point. But she held out, I'm going to say. Really good for somebody who hasn't been on an investigation before and chose a place as big and as haunted as this place for their first go.
Especially what we've been through there.
And seeing anything that we've done, because I'm sure she's watched everything from the last one and researched it before she went. So she kind of already had an idea, which probably was the whole cause for the hands up here type thing. She was T-Rex in it. That's what I'm going to call it. When somebody's that scared, but trying to look brave, you're T-Rex in it. So to start off the night, before we even get into the investigating, after the tour is over, we're all gathered up. You know, we did our live. We went live, talked to everybody, and told them what was going on, kind of laid out our plan for everybody on Facebook land. And Erin did her prayer, and we opened up the investigation. And before we could even get the ball rolling, we fucked up the toilet. The toilet was completely clogged. The pipes were probably been there since that place been built.
Yeah.
You could tell where the clog was just by trying to plunge it. You could feel it in the floor, like, hey, this is exactly where it's stopping.
It's like tremors.
Yeah.
Literally, it felt like tremors. We felt that shit through the floor. It's like you wish you could just open up a compartment, reach in and punch the pipe or something, because you knew exactly where the clog was.
In all fairness,
Chad,
though, there's always a spooky dookie in every investigation. So
there is a spooky dookie on every investigation. Chad spent a lot of time trying to plunge out that toilet and get it going.
He's the spooky dookie exorcist.
We went back and forth. There was a lot of accusations on who clogged the toilet. It was the unsolved mystery of the investigation. Who clogged the toilet? Well, I'm here to solve that mystery for you on this episode. I've already revealed this to the rest of the team recently, but I clogged the toilet.
It was Gary. It was Gary in the bathroom.
It was me
with the plunger.
It was me, but not in the way you'd be thinking. You see, I didn't even use the bathroom, but somebody else did, and I don't know who it was. So this is the other mystery. Somebody missed the toilet and pissed all over the floor. So I went to go to the bathroom in there, and I'm like, dude, I cannot just leave piss on the floor. So I grabbed paper towels off the sink and just throw them on the ground to soak it up, and then tried to flush it. And as soon as I hit the flush, I look over and there's a sign on the sink that says, "Do not flush paper towels." And I immediately went, fuck, nah, it'll be all right. And it was not all right. I immediately tried to flush it after that, and the water kept coming up.
It always says
I'm
that.
like,
It's fine. No.
It's fine. And it's not. So I don't know who missed. I don't know who fell off the toilet while going. I don't know what happened.
It wasn't me.
I was like, damn, we're solving all the mysteries here. Good job,
got a little
gang.
scared
Let's split up.
It kind of got everywhere. I'm sorry. No, it wasn't me.
Are you sure you weren't pulled by the same guy that got Gary before?
He's like, get off that toilet, bitch.
It was Teresa. She was T-Rexing, and she was sitting on the edge and slid off. She couldn't grab herself.
I like how the beginning of the investigation was like just trying to find phone numbers because the toilet's broken, and we have like another 12 hours there. Like, what's going to happen?
Like, we have to figure this out.
There was so much desperation because I'm like, oh my God, we're going to have to go outside
we got 10
and tell
people.
these people that we pissed and crapped in the yard and never be allowed back for a part 3.
Oh.
So we're literally checking walls and stuff for a number to call because we didn't have a number to call. We even begged, in case they were watching our live stream, to send a plumber, and we heard nothing until the next day. So I had to tell the lady the next day, I'm like, luckily we got it unclogged, because I went in there and I was in pure desperation mode. I was like, I got to get this toilet unclogged. So I, with all the strength I had, just plunged that sucker hard as fuck. And then it went down. I'm like, oh my God, I actually did it. So I ran out, hero of the investigation, saver of the spooky dookies, uniter of the urination, and fix the toilet.
Good job. Good job.
So now we know.
Sound file.
Oh, yeah, she did
When
send
you
me
came
the
out
sound file.
victorious.
I fixed the toilet.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have unclogged the toilet. Yeah.
The classic story of the villain breaking something and fixing it to be the hero.
We lost Ryan.
I fixed my mistake. All right, guys. So the adventure with the toilet was over. So we decided at this point to try to recreate what happened in the first investigation. So we went straight out to the barn and just started talking mad shit. Just talking up this guy, this bounty hunter, talking crap about him, dissing him as much as we could.
We had
to try to piss him off.
Too. We had some great ones coming out here.
We did.
Yeah, we got some zingers on that one. We had more people to bounce off this time, so we got some new ones in there we didn't get in the first time around, and hopefully it pissed them off. If it didn't, we'll never know. But we know the first time it did, so we were hoping it did this time. So not a lot happened while we were out in the barn. We just, like I said, did a bunch of crap talking to the dead bounty hunter guy. I don't recall anything happening out there. Anybody remember any experiences anyone had? No EVPs, nothing like that. Nothing really happened.
No.
The only weird thing that we found that happened, but I couldn't really see. Something had fallen over at one point. So I think was it the camera, Jeff?
No, it was Debbie's thing she had out there. Her she had out there.
Her REM pod had fallen over and it was going off. So something had to have knocked it over, but the camera wasn't facing the right way.
Was that our first time out there, or was that later on?
That was towards the morning time.
Okay. So yeah, I do remember that being brought up. So that was towards the end of the investigation. They ended up finding that knocked over out there.
It was pointed the wrong way, so we didn't see what came in. Could have been deer, could have been something, knocked it over. But we didn't even hear any like scuffling or whatever around that time, so I don't know.
I know at one point we did see what looked like somebody walk across the cupola, the thing at the top of the house. And we sent Chad in to walk around up there to see if we can replicate what it looked like. And while he was up there, I can say it didn't look like what we saw. In fact, what we saw looked like it was in the windows by the stairs, which Chad wouldn't have been able to get up there without falling down the stairs. So I don't know what it was, but it was like a shadow figure that went by quick. And after Chad was done experimenting, we figured that was time to do the second part of what happened on the first investigation and head up to the attic to see if anybody else going to get dragged across the floor. Us being us, we didn't make it to the attic right away. We all got sidetracked. We ended up in the daughter's room. A few people ended up in there. We were all in different places at one point, and then everyone's going, I thought we were going to the attic. And everybody's like, yeah, I thought so too. But none of us are going to the attic. It didn't make much sense. That's just how things go.
20 minutes, wait.
We ended up...
Well, we were just moseying up there, and I was just walking around, and Erin dipped into the daughter's room. So I went in there after her, and then she started talking, and then the toys started going off. So we decided, hey, we're getting activity, so we're going to stay here. And then everybody piled in, and then everything stopped. So that's when we decided to go back up where we were going to originally go.
Yeah, so we started to head up there after we realized nobody went to the attic. Mm-hmm. And then we all joined Sam and Erin in the daughter's room and just started doing an impromptu session with them, which had some of the equipment going off. Nothing too manic, nothing too crazy, just a few REM pods and stuff going off, toys going off. We didn't stay in there too long after that before we headed on up to the attic to continue on with our original plan. And we began doing some Estes methods up there. We started off with Riley and Michaela. Yep. And Michaela had not done an Estes method before, I don't think. No, she did. She did at Collingwood.
Oh, she did. We did one together at Collingwood.
Oh, yeah. Couple.
Down in the cage.
Yep. And up in the nuns' quarters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they did their Estes method together. That was pretty interesting. Actually got a pretty interesting one where we were talking about how much I might have pissed them off before on the first time around. And all of a sudden, all of the answers during that Estes method were like rapid fire accurate in responses to what we were saying. Mm-hmm. They were angry and they were directed directly at me. And we'll play that for you here. And
I remember specifically they called you a bully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But you were antagonizing them a bit. I feel like we would have gotten so much more in the Estes session had it not been prematurely ended, because it was going really well.
It was going really
Yeah,
good.
they were going very well. It's just people were too afraid of repeating the past, even though that's what we were there to do. And they got scared and just kind of ended it. And we're not angry at people for doing it. It just sucks because it really felt like these sessions were picking up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But here's the angry responses from the Estes method.
I must have really pissed you off the last time, you little bitch.
Of course you did.
And what pissed you off so bad?
Yeah, you stupid fuck. Damn, that's aggressive. Bully. Ooh. Stupid.
Well, you're a bully too. Pushing people.
Why are you so
people.
mad?
So aggressive.
We just wanted you to touch the bell.
Who are you mad at?
You certainly didn't start with us.
Gary.
You were mad before Gary.
Gary's not the one you should be mad at.
God.
Yeah, why are you mad at God?
I am God. So you could get mad at me and push me again, I guess.
So that was the rapid fire angry responses in the Estes method. And we had quite a lot of accurate responses during that Estes method. And it was just way too much to share all of them. So I just picked out one that just had a lot of them back to back and seemed directly tied to our previous investigation, almost as if whatever was there, whatever this entity was, remembered us.
Well, for them to say blasphemer after you called yourself God, like, wow, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me was the most interesting part of the night.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple EVPs from this point. Let's see if you guys hear this.
Stay out.
Oh.
Stay out of where?
You guys go.
Why?
There's kind of a whispery voice there.
Yeah, I heard it. I couldn't tell what it said.
What it was saying. Yeah, I couldn't make it out.
But the fact that you heard me and Michaela say the same thing at the same time, that's terrifying.
And that happened quite a few times during that session, actually. Mm-hmm. We have one more from this point in time.
Are there any spirits here with us tonight?
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
That was quick.
A couple of times.
So we got like a surfer spirit in the house.
She's avoiding. Don't deflate.
Can you tell us your name?
So that was just to be funny because they said, yeah, dude. And then you got, I'm not sure who that is laughing like Muttley the dog. Like he couldn't catch his breath. Was that you, Chad?
I think so.
Because he's like, because we call him a surfer dude spirit. So that is the few things I caught at that point in time during the first Estes method. And that was the experience we had with that. I think there was some points where it looked like Michaela was becoming extremely distraught.
Yeah.
It even looked like she was crying at one point, but she says she wasn't. To us, it looked like she was absolutely getting upset.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but she's the one who ended the session because it said her name. She heard it say her name and she was like, no, the hell with that. I'm not doing this. And she pulled herself out of the ST session.
What's your name, little one?
Whoa, that was my name. I don't like that.
Tap right.
Don't smack her. Tap
So that's where our first SD session ended. And then I decided to try to continue doing the role that we did in the first go. And then the first go, we had Sam go alone after the first Estes method. She did her own Estes method. This time I decided to be the one to do the Estes method solo. And I personally think it was going okay. I didn't know what the questions were. I just knew I was hearing a lot of stuff. And then when I actually got to listen back to that part of the investigation, it actually seemed like it was going somewhere.
Mm-hmm. It was.
It was.
Sam was moving closer and closer to me. She was definitely trying to start provoking whatever was talking through me at that point.
I was doing
because it was
actually
to me.
Yeah, so she was getting right up there like, okay, I'm going to get right up in your face. Because when I actually exited and took off my blindfold and Sam was right in front of me, like, it made me jump for a second. I didn't expect anybody to be that close to me. I was like, oh, okay, get right all up in my bubble.
I'm not that scary looking shit.
Well, it was dark. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what was going on right away. So first session went well, but this is where people started to get kind of on edge because some of the imagery I was getting during this session was kind of demonic. It was very hellfire and devils and demon looking. It was some kind of scary stuff to be seeing in your head. I wasn't really getting a lot of words at that point. I was just describing these things, and I think the word Satan actually came through the ghost box during that, and I did say it out loud. Mm-hmm. So a few people who had the experience are knew how the previous investigation had turned out, kind of got on edge and jumped the gun and closed out the Estes session.
Are you gonna make Gary throw up?
I'm getting.
I see like a little black orb here.
You see what?
It kind of looks.
Should we take him out?
I think we should.
Oh, yeah, bad idea.
Yeah. Sam, can you tap him?
Stay there.
Oh. Then
No,
get him out.
Yeah.
It's time to get him out.
Well, I can get him out. I was gonna.
He kind of looked like, no, I don't want it yet.
Hmm?
He looked over after she tapped me. He was like,
You
no, I
good?
don't want it yet.
You gonna throw up?
I felt like I was going to throw
He's
up.
like, why the fuck is Sam so close to me?
Yeah, I literally was like, how the hell did you get up there?
You were calling me out, and I was trying to get whatever the fuck was trying to get me over there.
We should take you out. It was like, no, stay there.
So we did come to the consensus that we felt like our sessions were prematurely ended, that we probably would have got some better results had we gone a little longer with them.
Most definitely.
So yeah, so I think that's one of the big regrets we have, is that they didn't go longer. We didn't delve deeper. And while we were actually getting these good results, we prematurely closed it down. So we could have had a lot more evidence than what we do have if we had continued further on.
I can only imagine what would have happened.
Like we could have had a sequel. We could have had a complete sequel. Somebody got physically attacked. But I think as it was amping up, like right when we got to the point where it started amping up, we fucking stopped it, and everything just stifled after that.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything else happened much after the attic session. I think everybody felt kind of defeated at that point because it ended early.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of like fizzle out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of split off doing just random stuff. And I think then after that, we jumped into isolations. Was Michaela's first? I think Michaela went first.
Yeah, Michaela went first.
Michaela went first, and she went to isolate in the attic. And we were talking about this a little earlier. She was nervous. She was like, I need somebody on standby. So when I call, you can be there. You can't be too far away. So Liz and Riley went with Michaela. And we were watching on the security cameras from home base and conversing back and forth on walkie-talkies. And while I full on expected her, because she's the one who sat in the pentagram circle at Collingwood Arts Center like it was no big deal, I fully expected her to go in that room and go sit all the way in the back by herself. Instead, she pulls up a chair right by the door and sits on the edge, 1 foot ready in front of her so she can just bolt the moment something happens. And she kept asking for time. She kept saying, time. She was ready for it to be over. Like, she wanted out of there. Riley and Liz sat close by. I think you guys sat at the bottom of the stairs. Am I right?
Liz sat at the bottom of the stairs, but I was watching from the cameras.
Okay. So yeah, I did see earlier today when I was going over everything that Liz was sitting at the stairs waiting for Michaela, just in case something happened. So she'd be really close and wouldn't have to go far, because this is a pretty big house. If she would have went all the way back to base camp, it's going to take about a minute or two before somebody gets to where you're at if you're in the attic, because that's a lot of stairs. Ain't nobody bolting like that. I don't care if you are being dragged across the floor. I'm fucking going to take my time getting up there, because I ain't going out of breath.
Here, I was out of breath.
Just walking up those stairs was enough for me.
Yeah.
I pretty much died trying to save you, so that doesn't help. So
So Michaela made it through. She made it all the way through. She got the fuck out of there as soon as the fucking time ended. We were like, time. She's like, out. Came down. She's like, I did it. She's got that under her belt. And I think she did say something along the lines of she was hearing something in the back corner in the area where things happened on the first investigation. Kept hearing sounds over there, like something rustling around. But as far as that goes, we got nothing on tape. She heard that herself. We didn't. I don't know if we had any recorders going in that section, but nothing I had anything going on in there.
We didn't have any
We didn't see anything.
isolation, I don't think, other than what she might have had, but we didn't have anything set up, just our camera.
Then I think, Riley, did you do yours right after her?
Yeah.
And she went to the servants' quarters and isolated there. Now, before we go into that, we'll say that on our first go around, we really didn't do anything in the servants' quarters. So we set out to make sure we absolutely investigated the servants' quarters this time around. Because honestly, I didn't really remember even what they looked like until we got back to this, because we really spent no time in there whatsoever the last time. So this time we made sure to do that. And the first go, that was Riley doing an isolation session in there. And
I also had that experience way before the isolation session that made me want to go in there.
All right, well, tell us about that.
When the thing came through the walkie-talkie and it said curiosity killed the cat, and I thought either you or Jeff had said it, but neither of you did, and nobody else had a walkie-talkie.
We have 4 walkie-talkies. 3 of them were in home base. 1 was on me, 1 was on Jeff, 1 was still on the charger, and Riley had taken one with her. And she heard a voice come over the walkie-talkie, and she said it said curiosity killed the cat. Because this is a point in time early on in the investigation where she just wanted to go explore. So she was going off on her own to explore. And she got that over the walkie-talkie and thought we were pranking her or messing with her, or one of us did it. None of us had talked over the walkie-talkie at that time. So talk more about you heading into that isolation.
Going in there, I felt confident that I was going to make it through the whole time. But after everybody left, that's when things started getting pretty hectic. The REM pod was going off in the back corner of the room. Because you were technically working. Did you have to work the... Can somebody, like, please come up here? Is that you? I felt something pull me kind of towards that direction where the REM pod was at. It was over by, like, the way far back of the servants' quarters. Literally right by where them stairs are blocked off with the chain and everything. And I just could see something, like, peering its head around the corner looking at me. Something really wanted me to go back there. I mean, it just felt like a moment where you had to freeze and really make sure you were seeing what you were seeing, because it was so dark at the same time, but it definitely looked like another person was there.
And I can definitely relate to that, because in my isolation session, I experienced kind of the same phenomena she's describing, which we'll talk about in a moment. Debbie, I see that you have some files in here that were listed as servants' quarters. Was that during this time, or was this later when we were all in there?
That is later. That's after Riley's.
Okay.
That we headed in there. So during or between the first 2 isolations is when I went into the child's room or the nursery. So my first files I have in there, I actually should grab my phone so I can reference this. The first files in there were from that session.
So before the isolations and stuff, that's when you went off into there?
It was in between them.
In between them? Okay. So you have a few files. I do have all your files pulled up here.
Starts with 3 and then 0038. Those are actually my times.
Okay. I got that one.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this doll in here.
I do hear something.
Okay, so right before I say okay, you hear something.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this doll in here.
Yeah, it's kind of
like a whisper.
Breathy. Yeah. Breathy with some tone to it. It does sound like okay.
Yep. So that's when I was just setting that REM pod doll up, and I had my recorder in with that doll for the first couple hours. So that's when I was just turning my recorder on, basically.
This 03434?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Almost
Okay, I'm gonna play.
daddy or something.
It did say
Yeah,
sound like it says something daddy. I'm gonna play that again. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Like something, daddy.
Yeah.
It sounds like either I'm ready to go or where'd you go?
It sounded like "Come on, Daddy" to me.
Could be like that too. It's something right before daddy.
I can't make
I'm gonna analyze
at all, but that's pretty clear.
I can't hear anything. I got my headphones. Don't want to fucking. I'll take your word for it.
What I heard was, "Who's that, daddy?" or "Who's their daddy?" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your
The daddy
daddy?
I can hear. Who's your daddy?
Or "Touch me,
And
Daddy."
what does he do?
And then actually, so the next file I had in there, I think it's the next one. I don't even know. That is not during my session, but it's the same voice.
Okay, we'll play that.
So that one's just 2 syllables, but it sounds like the same voice if you can make that one out.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the same exact voice. I just can't make out what that one's saying.
There are 3 files I have when I was interacting, and then one, Liz joined me halfway through.
5 file possible girls room reply?
Yep, there we go. Are there other kids here with you?
I hear what you're talking about. Let me play that again.
Are there other kids here with you?
That sounds like the same voice still. Sounds very much like the same kid.
Are we sure that voice doesn't belong to any of us?
I don't know anybody
definitely
that was
childlike.
there. That was definitely more childlike than any of us.
And here's the other thing is I didn't know you guys don't do this, but I leave my recorders running for the whole, like, what was it, 12 hours almost? So,
Somebody else did that too. Riley.
Well,
and she didn't even
we don't
finish
gotta talk
reviewing
about
hers.
Okay, there's reasons. Many reasons. Not gonna talk about it, but there's reasons.
hey, so I know that I didn't hear that voice other than those few times. So I can be fairly confident it doesn't belong to somebody. Because I recorded for 12 hours and listened to 12 hours.
I call that the rookie recordings, man. Because I used to do that all the time, and I hated evidence review because of it. And then I started realizing I was the only one on any of my teams doing it. I was like, oh, you guys only record when we're doing sessions?
I mean, you could catch stuff in between, so it's not like wrong. It's just,
yeah. I mean, there were many times I've gotten EVPs that wouldn't have been captured had I not left them going. But now I just don't have to review as much. I'll miss a few EVPs for a little less review time.
I sometimes will leave it for a couple hours. Like I had one in the servants' quarters for 4 hours.
The only thing I leave continuously going is if I'm using my analog tape recorder. I'll leave both sides of that going. Did you have any more from that?
Yep, the next 2 should be from that session as well.
Okay.
I don't remember what they are until I hear them.
So Debbie had her session in between the isolation sessions, and that's a few of the things she found during that time. And then I did my own isolation session in the basement, and I had brought my antique shackles with me and shackled myself and sat in one of the rooms that the servants, not the servants, but people on the Underground Railroad would hide out in, and they would tap the ceiling with a stick to let the owner of the home know they were there, and he would stomp back. So I sat down there handcuffed and sitting in the middle of the room all alone. I did tap the ceiling to see if I'd get any response. I do have 2 files from there, but before I even play the one, I have to confirm that nobody was messing with me. There was a point where I heard a stomp back, and then I radioed back to everybody and said, yeah, I heard that, and then continued on with my EVP session, and everyone's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I heard you guys stomp back. And then you guys were telling me it wasn't you guys. None of you guys stomped back?
No, nobody
Because,
did.
okay, we'll play that because it sounded like somebody upstairs absolutely stomped back, and it baffles me if I'm the only one who heard it. So I did save that. And you'll hear my confusion and shock when they say it wasn't us.
It could have been my snoring. I think at that point I was out.
I don't think it was. I hope not.
No.
Maybe able to hear your voice of I heard it. This device sitting on the floor in front of me. What? You're not doing that? Because it sounds like somebody knocking on the floor above me.
That's pretty distinct. Nobody remembers that?
No.
Nope.
Maybe able to hear your voice of I heard it. This device sitting on the floor in front of me. What? You're not doing that?
And I gotta add a note that you hear how staticky my recorder is in that recording.
Mm-hmm.
It was only during that time in the basement my recorder sounded like that. It was getting interference from something. I have no idea what, but the moment I left that room, my recorder was back to recording perfectly clear. So yeah, that knock was pretty pronounced. I'm going to play it one more time. I'll stop it right after the knock, but that was pretty loud for them to tell me they didn't do that, because that sounds clear as day like somebody knocked on that floor.
Maybe able to hear your voice of I heard it.
It was really clear, and I literally tapped on the ceiling with a stick, and then I sat the stick down and went back and sat down, and then right when I started talking after that, I got that. So they say it wasn't them, and I'm pretty sure they remember somebody knocking on the floor at that point, because I asked for complete silence. I couldn't explain that to you. I couldn't explain it. I truly believed at that time it was them and carried on like it was them, and it blew my mind for them to say it wasn't. I thought I was being pranked, and I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you.
I can tell you right now, Jeff was asleep when you were down.
From what I remember, almost everybody was falling asleep.
Yeah, Jeff was asleep. Michaela was on the ground. Teresa was at my feet, and they were passed out.
I was looking at the camera.
No, when I was passed out in the chair.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm pretty sure Aaron was in the room across the hall sleeping.
Well, if they were laying down, we're gonna get one confirmation. We'll make sure Michaela and Teresa didn't knock on the floor back or something before that. And if they did, I'll put in a subtitle right down below here that it wasn't a ghost.
I'm almost positive they didn't, though, because they were both completely knocked out.
Yeah, they were laying at Sam's feet.
They were like on the floor, just knocked. There's no way it was them.
All right. Well, as of right now, it sounds like we have some phantom knocking, and that'd be the clearest I've ever heard. And I truly believed it was somebody living that did that.
Unless Michaela or Teresa just ripped ass while they were on the ground.
Teresa, Michaela, if your ass ripping is in a rhythmic knock, as I captured here, I have a doctor that you can go talk to. They're really good at that sort of thing, because there's something fucking wrong.
Can I get that doctor's name? Because
we did have Taco Bell.
It is true. You did have a Taco Bell in Amish town.
And Michaela did eat the Taco Bell.
Knock the bell. So during that session, like Riley was talking about during her isolation session, she thought she saw like a figure standing out of the corner of her eye. Now, I was sitting square in the middle of this room, which was already a bad omen because as we were walking through and looking through everything, we found a dead bird in that room. There was a dead blackbird in there. And it was there the whole time. I don't know. Did you remember to grab that, Sam? No. So that dead bird was still there when we left. Sam was going to take it as a souvenir. She forgot. We were all tired. Makes sense.
I'm weird, okay? Deal with it.
Yeah, we're all a little weird. I got dead stuff sitting in this very room with me right now.
I do too.
Hell yeah. Puppies. So I did.
can vouch he's weird. He asked me to ask my teacher if I could bring him the dissected baby pig we did in class.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I brought him a tooth, though. Don't tell anybody I did that, but I did bring him a tooth.
They know now. It's right here.
Okay,
little big tooth. So we had the dead bird sitting in the room with me, laying there all dead and stuff, not doing stuff that birds normally do when they're living. It's kind of chilling. And I'm sitting in the middle of the room and I'm doing this session, and I swear across the hall. So there's the door that I entered in, and then there's the hallway for the basement. And right on the other side of that is another room, just like the room I'm sitting in. And the doorways are lined up perfectly. So if I turn and look, I'm going to look right into the other room across the hall. And I swear there was a silhouette figure of, I'm assuming a man with very short, wavy hair, African American style hair out of the corner of my eye. I could see them standing there like they were watching me, but more like interested in what I was doing instead of actually like anything negative. But I refused to actually turn and look head on into that room. I made sure I only saw it out of my peripherals. I did not want to look because for two reasons. I know usually in situations like that, when you do actually look, it's not there anymore. You're not going to see it again. But I was more afraid that I would look and it would fucking be there. Because then I would have booked it the hell out of there. And I know peripheral things come into play in a lot of paranormal investigations. You're usually not seeing anything. It's just the exhilaration of what you're doing. You're already looking for stuff like that. So out of the corner of your eye, you're going to see something. It's the whole stoic thing of eyes playing tricks on you. And we have far less cones in the corner of our eye than we do forward. So things are going to look more shadowy. I full on believe someone was standing there staring at me because I didn't just get the vibe of seeing it. I felt it. It felt eerie, made my hair stand on end. I just did not want to look and see someone standing there staring at me. So until Riley and Liz came back to relieve me from my isolation, I did not look in there. And when I finally did look, I did it with a flashlight, so I definitely didn't see anything. So moving on from that I believe was all the isolations that had gone on. Did you isolate, Jeff? I know you isolated when you went to sleep.
Yes.
There was one more isolation, I know.
That was
There was an isolation. It was some guy that was there. I don't remember who that was. So, I mean...
But I did go on that one, and I do remember it was in the attic, and it felt like something was like pulling on your hair, kind of. Just kind of could feel like your hair floating up and something grabbing it.
So like a Flowbee.
And there was a... Yeah, there was like also...
The old vacuum hair cutting machine.
There was knocking from around the corner as well.
Yeah, there's a section of the attic for some reason in both investigations we just didn't go in. We didn't actually investigate in, actually. Like, I spent more time in it this time because I knew we didn't go over there because the attic is a U shape. And we stayed on the one side of the U where you enter from, and we really didn't go sit on the other side to investigate. But they did say they heard some knocking coming from that direction. Also, we'll pull up that footage here. But as Liz and Riley were coming to pull me out of my isolation session, as they were leaving to go outside, they just started up the video recorder and immediately captured the side door opening.
Oh, hell fucking no. That door just fucking opened by... I fucking no. I just want to go out that door to get my dad, and it blew open completely by itself. I got it on video.
It doesn't latch. I keep finding it open and you gotta like slam it to shut it.
Dude, no, it was fucking closed. And I mean, it stayed closed for 15 minutes. And it just opened now. As soon as I got it on video. I literally, as soon as it started, it was like, what?
It's freezing now, so you get close.
I don't know. We said it could have been maybe not closed all the way and the wind caught it and then opened it.
We tried to debunk that, though.
Yeah, we did try. I tried to debunk it myself after they told me and I saw the video. I could not get that door to barely stay latched. If you let it go, it was going to literally open right away, wind or not. The weight of it always pulled it open, no matter how far closed I made it. Unless it was fully closed, then it stayed closed. So I can't explain that. There's video of that. You just seen it. Judge that for yourself, because that stayed that way the entire time they were waiting to come get me. And the moment they went to leave, this door just swings open. You saw it in the trailer. I don't know. Can't explain it. It's up in the air, but we couldn't debunk it either. So we are leaving that up to the ethos of your own conclusions.
At one point, I saw smoke on the floor in one of the stairwells. I wish I would have caught that on camera. I thought it was you vaping at one point, but then I found out you don't vape anymore. So I don't know what that could have been, but that was creepy.
Yeah, I don't vape anymore,
they
but
did make it clear that we couldn't do it in the building as well.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody would have done it in there.
Yeah, and there was nobody around at the time. So it was just very strange. I remember I was just taking my phone out to film something and I saw it on the ground. I'm like, what the fuck is that? But I didn't see it again after that.
And for those not in the know of that, a mist like that or a fog that appears is considered to be a form of manifestation. So if a spirit was there and then trying to manifest, it might appear as smoke that almost kind of looks like cigarette smoke or vape smoke. It's usually there quite quickly and gone, or sometimes it lingers around and almost moves intelligently. So that could have very well been what that is. I don't vape anymore. Riley does vape, and I don't know if she had.
Like I said, there was nobody else around.
I went outside. Every time to hit it, I went outside.
All right, so that doesn't explain it. I can't explain that to you either, but something like that is something I've rarely seen on investigations. I think the last time I ever seen anything like that was Bobby Mackey's, when I literally tried to get the fuck out of the room when I was sitting there with Jeff and pushed myself against the wall. Like, there's something right there.
Yeah, I've never seen that before in any investigation. So
we got one more. I did miss this. This one is from the attic, and this one actually kind of creepy. Here you go.
Oh, you're that guy? Yeah, he's something. Are you finishing up in here?
So this is actually when we were leaving the attic, and it's around the time you can hear everyone walking to leave. It's kind of a whispery voice there. I don't know did you guys hear it that first time around? No. Play it one more time.
Oh, you're that guy? Yeah, he's something. Are you finishing up in here?
So if you guys don't hear it, it's a very breathy voice on top of everyone moving, but it says, "I am coming for you." And I will put that with subtitles right on the screen for everybody to see, so you know at the exact point you're listening for it. but this is just as we're leaving. Aaron also did say a prayer at that point. I'm sorry we're doing this out of order. My notes are just like crazy, and we're doing this way for the first time. Aaron was saying a prayer, and I caught this.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women.
You guys hear that there towards the end?
It sounds like a yelling of some sort.
There's kind of like a whisper and a thump. I don't know if the thump was one of us, or if that was whatever that was, but it was responding to what Aaron was doing.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women.
I'm hearing, I don't like that, and then the thump.
I thought I heard watch it or something like that. Like watch it.
Yeah, I hear I don't like that.
Oh, I can hear that now, yeah.
At this point, we end up, after the isolation sessions, we all join back up together again, and we had to do a Phasma box session in the servants' quarters. So while doing that, we did get quite a few responses on the Phasma box. I didn't save any individual ones that were of note, but we did have something said in the attic about being pushed out a window.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Liz, I think, was standing near the window at that point.
Yeah, Liz was standing near a window at the point in the attic. And now when we come downstairs, this is probably the most active thing that happened that I can't explain. I was sitting next to the stairwell in the servants' room. We were doing the live stream at the time, so this happened while we were live. So if you were watching, you already know this happened. I started to feel like what felt like a bunch of little bugs crawling around my neck. And I kept scratching, like, what the hell is that? And I was like, all right, I'm going to leave it alone and see what happens. It just felt like little bugs crawling all over the place. They're just very tingly. And shortly after that stopped, I started to feel a dull burn on the back of my neck. And it started to amplify. It started to get warmer and hotter. And Jeff ended up digging out the camera and turning on a flashlight. And there was a scratch on the back of my neck. He got photos of that. But as the session went on, it felt like the burning was going up under my hat across the top of my head. And I take off my hat and there's literally a scratch going up to the top of my head. Don't know. I can't explain that at all. All I know is it felt like burning, throbbing. It definitely, the welt was growing bigger as people were looking at it. Like as I'm sitting there, they're saying, it's getting worse. It's actually starting to rise. It's kind of becoming a welt. So I got up and moved. And I went and stood in front of the window, and then it dawned on me, oh crap, it said it's going to push somebody out of the window. So I ended up sitting down on the ground. I'm not going to stand in front of a window at that point, knowing the things that can happen in this place.
Mm-hmm.
By the next morning, in fact, it was probably before I even went to sleep because I totally didn't even check. The next morning, not a single mark on me. There's no scratch on the back of my neck, nothing on my head, nothing. It's all completely gone, completely back to normal. But we had a few things go on in the servants' quarters with EVP that I have. Debbie, I believe you said you had a few from this session as well.
Yeah, this is afterward, actually, when nobody's in there. So at one point after the isolations, after the Phasma, when most people were asleep, actually, I headed up to the servants' quarters, and I think Chad came up with me to the servants' quarters.
At one point.
Yeah, you were asleep, and you woke up, and I said, come on in here with me.
So is this after our EVP session there? Our Phasma box session?
Yes, it was way after.
So hold on with that. We're gonna play these from when we were in there.
Can you hear the rain outside?
So I'm hearing basically right there. This is also from that session.
Do they even know what exactly what it is? Did your screen time out?
So this is in between the talking right there. It sounds like a kid.
Do they even know what a taco is?
Did your screen time out?
It doesn't
No?
sound like a kid to me. No, I kind of hear it say "see me."
It sounds like a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I definitely hear me.
And it kind of sounds like she said "see me." Yeah, "see me." That's what I hear.
And then we have this is knocking. I believe this was coming from the Phasma box.
What room should he go to next? That's knocking about her.
That's the second time it was knocking.
Knocking through the bedroom.
Yeah.
So ironically, we have knocking, and then this session happened afterwards, and we get knocking on the Phasma box. So that's all I have for any evidence during that session, and that's the last of the evidence I have at all. Debbie went back up to the servants' quarters shortly after everyone was wrapped up. Everybody was starting to fall asleep. There was a very little that happened after this point because it was pretty dead in this place. No pun intended. Not much was going on compared to last time. We really weren't capturing anything, and we kind of left this investigation pretty much with the hope that the best stuff we would find would be an evidence review, which often happens, that nothing happens while you're there. You find everything in evidence review. Unfortunately, this time around, like, we found very little in evidence review, and there was no smoking gun this time. There was no major find that just made us say, wow. So we're using that as an example to how paranormal investigations work. You might go to like 50 where nothing happens, and then you have one where something amazing happens, and then you go back and you could go back another 50 times to that same location and nothing happens. It is very sporadic, and it just kind of shows how lucky or unlucky we were, depending on how you look at it, the first time we were there. So Debbie moved on after this point and went back to the servants' quarters. Chad joined her. Everyone else was winding down, starting to go to sleep. We were getting tired. It was getting pretty late. So, Debbie, what other stuff did you find while you went back to the servants' quarters?
So I did a session in there, pretty uneventful, actually. I think I took my doll in there. Didn't have anything go on while I was there, but I left the recorder in there because I didn't remember if we had a recorder in there at all. And I think this was after what happened to Riley in there. I thought we need to have a recorder in here. So for the last, 2, 3, 4 hours, I'm not sure, I had my recorder running in there. And the remainder of my files, or at least the next couple, are from the servants' quarters. And I won't remember what they are until you play them.
I can't wait to find out what the hell that is.
Oh.
A horse or...
Are you on the one?
A horse?
I'm looking at, yeah,
I think I actually shared that one.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, horse or scream? This sounds like a new game show I want to watch. Next time on Horse or Scream.
I think I'm going to go with horse on that, actually, but I don't know where the horses were.
All right, before we jump into these, we've piqued the interest now. I have to hear if this is a horse or a scream. Ladies and gentlemen.
If you know Carl was there, he'd be like, where are the horses?
Where'd they bury the horses?
Oh, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, join us as we enter into the game zone on our first episode of Horse Scream.
Definitely a Spricket battle cry.
Okay, I'm going to step outside the bounds of the game show here and break the rules. And I'm not going to say horse or scream because initially my mind said scream. I never heard horse, but as we heard it, it seemed to be in a pattern. The tone never seemed to change. And then I'm tying in the Underground Railroad to this because we know the history of the place. Did they not blow whistles? Wasn't there something they did blowing whistles?
I was just going to say that it does sound like a whistle to me. Almost like a warning.
It sounds very much like a whistle.
Yeah,
so what if this is a residual whistle from the Underground Railroad times? Let's play
Dude,
that.
I got goosebumps a little bit. Do you guys hear it a few times?
Yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
There.
It's spaced out. Almost, it feels like if I did the timing, they'd almost be perfectly timed. Like this is a pattern. Like this.
There was 2 in that file, and then there was actually 1 or 2 more that I caught.
Yeah, this could be like
not evenly spaced out.
Like a code, a whistle code. Like if you whistle, then there's this much of a space in between the next whistle. This means that.
Like,
well, wouldn't they?
I don't think they'd use it in whistles.
Maybe it was like a warning that like a bounty hunter is coming or something. Maybe.
Right, because whistling in an open area like that, it's hard to triangulate on the exact location of where the whistle is coming from. So they would use whistles as messages.
So here's a funny side note. In my notes of EVPs I don't clip, I've got 3 here that say whistle with a question mark that I did not clip and share. So hours apart. Now I'm going to have to go back and find those.
Okay.
Because apparently whistle was a recurring thing that I had.
Kind of looking to see if I see anything online here. So horse or scream became whistle or bird, and I'm saying whistle based on the history of what we know about this place and what all went around these lands. We may have very well just been listening to a whistle from the distant past.
There's another weird noise that I was catching in the servants' quarters, and I have no idea what this is.
I thought it sounded like, who's this?
Whatever it is, I hear it twice. And it's the same tone, same pitch, same cadence. Everything's exactly the same as the first time. And it sounds childish.
Like who's this or something?
Yeah, it sounds like who's this?
Yeah.
What I just heard sound nothing like my file.
I heard
I heard who's this, and that's not.
I heard literally nothing.
It didn't sound like my file, though, because it didn't sound like the background noise. I don't know what I heard.
Well, it's your file, that's for sure.
I know. I don't know.
Okay, I see that one up
So
there.
I think that is all of them except
REM pods.
The last one. That's just interesting because you hear both REM pods, and I don't. You can hear us. I'll explain this first. Let me set it up. So you can hear us all going down the stairs. So I believe this was after the SD's methods that we did, and you'll hear a REM pod in the distance, and then you'll hear the one go off that's right next to my recorder, which is the doll.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if anybody's walking up to them, but then you hear somebody say, "Oh, wow." So I don't think anybody's in the room.
That is strange. I could hear the distant one, and then the close one goes off.
So the distant one's the fire truck, and then the close one's the doll. Unless someone else had a REM pod on that floor. But I thought that was interesting. As we were going down the stairs, everything started going off.
And weren't those rooms right across from each other? Where you had the doll?
The doll was in the women's room. So
Yeah.
They're right
they
across
were.
from one another.
All right, so that was all of our sessions that we had done up until the very final one, which everyone was pretty much asleep at this point. It was me, Riley, Liz, and Sam, and we went back to the sick room to do an Estes method session. And Sam and Liz went under for this session. Not really much came out of it. Not much happened. We didn't get really accurate responses. It actually just felt.
I mean,
we heard
did hear
footsteps that sounded like they were coming. We thought somebody was actually coming to see what we were doing, and
It sounded like a pair of boots.
we know all about boots. We have a lot of experience with ghosts with boots. Besides that, it felt like at this point, everything had just completely dissipated, died down. And that's not saying much because it never really peaked. We never really got all the activity that we got last time. The follow-up, honestly, was pretty lackluster. Not a whole lot happened. I think, honestly, the most exciting thing that happened was the toilet got clogged. Like that really got everybody up and going. Everybody was pretty freaking scared that they were going to have to go shit on the lawn. So besides that, like nothing really happened while we were there. We didn't have any major things happen. Nothing that set itself apart from any other basic investigation. This is just, if this was our first time there, we would probably never, ever go back. We probably wouldn't even want to go back. There'd be no interest in going back. The only reason we were there for a second time was because of what happened the first time. And this just goes to tell you that in the world of paranormal investigating, sometimes you get lightning in a bottle. Sometimes lightning strikes. And like they say, lightning doesn't strike twice. So for us to get not much is not much of a surprise.
Well, and the fact that Jeremiah wanted to go and then he didn't go. It's like,
I think if Jeremiah went, we might have got some more activity because he was virgin blood and he was ready to tap into the darkness of this place and see what he could get out of it.
I know, he's like, I want to get scratched, all this stuff. I think he got scared.
Yeah, the whole reason we even went back for a second time was we would never have considered this after the first time was because Jeremiah wanted to go, and we decided, you know what, if he wants that kind of experience, we know exactly where to go. We'll go back a second time just for him, and unfortunately, he couldn't come, so it didn't work out that way. It did put a damper on the investigation very early on. It was kind of a little bit of sap to climb out of to actually get our minds and our heads into the game of doing this investigation. But once we climbed out to the other side of it, we started moving, getting things going, but it really didn't stick. It didn't last long. It just kind of fell apart early on. Everyone just got tired towards the end. It kind of dissipated. We weren't really sticking to a plan. We were just kind of doing whatever, going wherever. That's just how it is when nothing's happening. You don't really know what to do to kick these things up. And I think we really got close to maybe spiking it up during those Estes methods, and we cut it too short. We pulled the cord too soon, and it just ended up with a lackluster investigation. Now, that being said, I would still go back. Just knowing what happened the first time and then the second time being lackluster doesn't mean at this point we're done with Prospect. I would like to go back because they are doing more work on the building. They're doing more things on the place. So there'll be actually different things for us to see in the future. In fact, what is it? The kitchen that we can't go in? They are working on getting that open. So I think once that kitchen is open, we will be trying to put that back on our itinerary to go back to Prospect just so we can go in the kitchen. I forgot my tripod at Prospect, and they contacted us to let us know that I forgot it. So we made plans as our final stop because we stayed in Newcomers Town. We did the Amish thing for a day, went around to quite a few places, and then we made our final stop returning to Prospect to pick up my tripod. I hung out and talked to our guide for quite some time. There were a couple other guides there that normally work there, but only during the day, refused to come at night. And they were very interested in hearing like what went on the night before. I didn't really let them in on too much because I said, hey, we got this podcast. And if you really want to know like what went on while we were here, go check that out. And gave them our web address and everything. And they immediately went out to their car and we got a new follow. So it took us a few months to get it out. But here's the episode, you guys. Sorry it took so long. And sorry it really wasn't very eventful compared to before. But we got a nice trailer out of it. We got a pretty nice trailer. That final shot of that trailer was something I was dreaming about for like a month. Couldn't wait to do it. I was like, I need that shot. Everybody get your ass up in the cupola.
Yep.
Didn't care how tired you are. We're going up there. We go back. I wanted to walk around the building during the day because I have never seen it like that during the day. Like even on the tours, it was always getting dark by the time we got there. But Liz and Riley did get to go walk around and do whatever during the day. In fact, I seen a few of their pictures and I couldn't even tell you what room it was when I first looked at it because I never saw it during the day. Completely different look during the day based off the photos I've seen. Riley had an experience on that daytime walkthrough. What happened?
I honestly don't remember.
She's sitting there shaking her head like, yup, yup. Oh, I remember this. I remember this.
I got scratched. Yeah. I remember. I got scratched. I actually had a sprained ankle during this time, and I didn't wear my boot for the original investigation because I was worried it was gonna, like, kind of interrupt with a lot of evidence and everything due to how heavy it sounded. But I wore it the second time I was there, and I got scratched on the same leg, and I opened the boot for a minute, and you could see it clear as day where it was. It was on my calf, and it was right after I had went to go check out the sick room again.
Yeah, and she actually came down like as I was getting ready to leave, and she showed me, and there was a scratch up the back of her leg, kind of reminiscent of the one that I had on the back of my neck. So that was pretty interesting. I wish I could have been there when it happened, so I could have been like, "Hi, you fucking missed. You got the wrong person." Unfortunately, I couldn't. I did get a free flashlight because if you guys remember, we found the Ohio State Reformatory flashlight and we were like, well, this is theirs, dude. We already locked the door. Just leave it by the door. They'll find it. Well, she told me, she's like, oh, no, this isn't ours. I think this was from a team before you guys. Just take it if you want it. I'm like, sweet, free flashlight.
I don't remember it being there when we got there, though. That's the crazy
I don't either. I don't remember seeing it on the table or anything.
Because you guys signed the book and everything.
Yeah, we had a flashlight just appear out of nowhere, and it wasn't anybody who was there that night giving us a tour, and it wasn't any of ours. I've never seen it before, but it's mine now. It's in my car. It stays there for whenever we need it. That, guys, wraps up the entire experience of Prospect Place Estate, everything we found during that time. And everyone that was there, we didn't leave anyone of importance out. So that was it, guys. Pretty lackluster. What do you guys feel? Everybody else? Yeah.
Pretty
The most exciting part was the toilet.
I think
as soon as we got.
I think we had
Go ahead, Jeff.
way too much because of what happened the first time. and that's why it let us down the second time.
Yeah, we the bar was set pretty damn high. It was set way high. I spent most of my time trying to calm down and not rip into Jeremiah alive because I was pretty upset about all that because I really I felt pretty let down that he wasn't going to make it out. But, you know, I guess under the circumstances, I kind of understand. And at the same time, I kind of don't because I still would have went. I still would have went, Jeremiah, which is what I would have did.
I thought the SD session was exciting. That was my favorite part.
Better?
I do remember though, like repeatedly through the night, camera batteries kept dying, even if they were completely charged.
That did happen. There was a quick
That was a weird.
There was a quick burst there where I think everybody's stuff was all dead. Whatever they had at the time was dead. I know my stuff was dead.
It happened to 2 of our camcorders for sure.
My phone
running.
My phone actually would not charge. I plugged it into all these
I
chargers
remember that.
for hours, and it would not go up 1%.
Well, there was a point in time where there was an energy surge where all the equipment was failing and all the batteries were dying. Nothing besides that happened. So whatever they were using the energy for, fuck if I know.
It wasn't for us.
A ghostly beat off or something, a spooky sploot.
What is this now?
A spooky sploot.
Oh my God.
There's going to be a new shirt soon. It's just going to have an amalgamous white blob on it. It's just going to say spooky sploot.
I was gonna say, can we get a shirt with like the whole like you victored the toilet or whatever? I mean, we have to come out of this or something, right?
But
now,
Prospect Place Estate Toilet Victor. It's me dressed like Mario holding a plunger up.
And on the back now you can look out for this.
Or fix it, Felix.
That honestly was my favorite sound file out of it. I don't know if I showed you. He comes out and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen." I'm like, oh, it's important. He goes, "The toilet is fixed."
All right, we'll just get a T-shirt of me sitting on the toilet next to a sign that says "Do not flush the paper towels."
You don't even need that sign to know not to do that.
Oh, I know that now. I'm not doing it anywhere. I don't even care if it's like a high-tech, super powerful toilet. I ain't flushing no paper towels at any place we go to because I ain't paying for that shit later. We got really close to footing a bill for a fucking plumber there. You're welcome.
I was gonna say, so
I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
we need to go back, right? We need to change some tactics. We need to, revisit it. If nothing else, to give them financing to get new plumbing.
Yeah, true. We support their plumbing.
Prospect Place Estate, we are here for you, and we're going to put together a little fundraiser to get you new shitter pipes. You need new shitter pipes. We proved it on our investigation. So guys, that wraps up Prospect Place Estate Part 2, the sequel. And usually sequels aren't as good as the original, and we have proved it here this time. That wraps that investigation up, guys. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us on that. We've been sitting here drinking our stuff. I hope you guys have been drinking your stuff. If you don't already know, we went to New York, we went to Buffalo, and we went to the Iron Island Museum recently. We investigated there. Awesome investigation. I wish I could tell you more, but we're heading into review right after this. We haven't touched any files from that because we needed to get this done first. So we're going to start reviewing that investigation, which was a lot more eventful than Prospect Place Estate. We had a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of new stuff we've never done before. We got to try it that night, and we're going to talk all about that on the next episode of the Aftermath podcast, Iron Island Museum. And before we even get to that review, we're going to announce here right now our next investigation. Investigations. 2 of them. Back to back. Yeah, we're doing a double feature, guys. We've never done it before. We're going to be fucking tired out of our goddamn minds to set it up the way we set it up. But we are going, 15 hours piece. Well, at least phone died. But we're going to return to New York in August. We are going to the haunted Hinsdale House. We're investigating the haunted Hinsdale house overnight. Then we're going to go recharge all of our equipment, get a little bit of sleep, maybe a little bit of food, and we're going to jump right back into a whole nother overnight investigation at the Wildwood Sanitarium. So not only are we doing this in a crazy order, we're doing a house followed by a sanitarium. And you know the draining properties of the sanitarium because of the mines that were there and the energy that just gets drained from you in such a place. We're also told demonic nature resides in the basement of the Hillsdale house. We were in fact informed by the lady who investigated with us at Iron Island to not go in the basement first, because if you do, you're going to kill all your activity for the whole night. If you go there first, it's going to fizzle out really fast. So we're going to investigate upstairs first, and then we're going to head into the basement where the dark entity resides. So that's happening first. And then while we're already drained from the dark entity, we're heading into the halls of the mentally unstable in the Waverly. Why did I say Waverly? Wildwood Sanitarium.
Yeah,
so
Waverly.
Look forward to that. Look forward to that in August.
I guess we have to do Waverly now. So
yeah, we got to do Waverly now. That's one of our bucket list tiers right there. Waverly. We were supposed to do West Virginia State Penitentiary, and that's not happening now due to unforeseen circumstances with the person hosting that. Their business burned down. So they are currently working on other things to try to get themselves back on their feet. So the West Virginia trip is not happening now, and this is taking place of that. We needed to find something else. In fact, this is going to be kind of a slow season for us because we're doing this back-to-back one. We're not really pushing hard to get an investigation in between that. So June and July, we're really not planning on doing anything. If something comes up, we might take it. But as of right now, we're not looking because we're going to be doing this extremely exhausting back-to-back double feature investigation. I look forward to it majorly, and then hopefully we recover from that pretty quickly and bounce back into doing something in time for the Halloween season, and then wrap up our paranormal investigation season. Because we usually don't do anything in the winter.
We've learned our lesson there. I think we did one in November and we were frozen.
Yeah, because most of these places, they don't have heat, they don't have power. They're just there to be ghost hunted, and that's it. We learned that lesson. I learned my lesson the very first time I ever went to the Ohio State Reformatory in December. That was
Stone Mansion was pretty cold.
Stone Mansion was cold. They had heat. They had heat, and it was still fucking cold.
Mm-hmm.
And they had freaking what was it? Was it a brown recluse? They had a brown recluse spider in the basement during this time. And that's where I was supposed to sleep. I was like, yeah, I'm going to sleep down here. I'll sleep in the basement. I'm not afraid. And then there's a brown recluse next to the bed. And I'm like, I ain't sleeping down here. I'm sleeping upstairs with you guys. That can kill me.
That was when Gary was all toasty and his nice and I had a little freaking half blanket on me all night.
He had a tissue.
Yeah,
just like
Jeff
a tissue.
had this little tissue blanket, and I was wrapped in my heated blanket under my coat. And,
he woke up sweating.
I mean, we could set ourselves up to do some winter investigations if we all could afford to go buy heated coats.
Yeah.
I'd totally do it then. But that's money.
We need a sugar daddy list, so Jeremiah needs to hook us up with that.
Hey, Jeremiah, do you know any sugar mamas or daddies out there that we could borrow? Any, no? Okay.
I like to call them splendid daddies because they ain't getting no sugar, so just buy me stuff. Just buy me stuff. It's fine.
So that wraps it up, guys. That's what's coming next. That's the exciting stuff coming up. I need to do more spooky stuff in between, so I'm going to try to do something. I don't know. I got a whole bunch of unfinished shows to do on my page that I just don't have time to do right now. There's so much going on. I have so many projects. I have so many people hiring me for crap that I don't even know what to do. And I got addicted to eBay, so I'm just selling all the stuff I own. I'm almost out of owning anything except ghost stuff. So that's on the market next. I'll just start selling all my stuff.
Keep telling you, Gary, we gotta do a show together.
We gotta do a show together. I don't know what it is. It's gonna be Spooky Bros or something like that. Spooky Bros Plumbing Adventures. Fuck, Taps has that.
Yeah.
We were Taps for a night at Prospect Place Estate. So, all right, guys, that wraps everything up. Thanks for joining us for the Prospect. All right, guys, that wraps everything up. Thanks for joining us for the Prospect Place Estate, the return episode. Riley's back here with me right now because her phone died. Sam disconnected, so she's with Jeff. We're signing off tonight. Also joining us is Debbie and Chad from Shadows of Reality Paranormal. And as we always do, we count down 3, 2, 1. And I will say, as you know, it's 3 a.m. somewhere. We all say 3 a.m. somewhere at the same time. We cheers our beer or whatever you got. And that's how we're going to close this out. So 3, 2, 1. As you know, it's 3 a.m. somewhere. And thanks to the power of AI, I can sync that up like nobody's business.
Whoa. Put beer in my hand.
Yeah, can you put a beer in my hand for that too?
Well, thanks for taking us along, guys.
Good night, y'all.